Oi, oi, alright. How's it going? I'm Grant. You're you. This is Doodle Review coming through with a new album to chat some fraff about, tell you if I like it or not really. Today we're talking about KIERAN Hebden, aka Four Tet's latest record, 3. Four Tet is a bit of a pioneer really, an explorer of electronic music in so many different forms. Depending on what aisle you choose to sit within, the extremely broad church of electronic music will determine what you really know the artist for. If your preferred way of experiencing this music is loud at 3 AM, rocketing off your nut in a warehouse in some industrial estate, you might know Four Tet as more of a performer delivering huge house mixes that could start there and then go anywhere from UK garage to D&B to dubstep. If you prefer electronica that delivers a more personal, cerebral experience, you'll be more familiar with Four Tet as a prolific album and remix artist with a deep catalogue of IDM, indie-tronica and ambient records. My first experiences with Four Tet were around 2009 to 2011, which in hindsight was a really important period of time for me in terms of developing my music taste. And so around this time, kind of at the perfect time for me really, Radiohead started releasing the King of Limbs remixes, of which Four Tet released at least one, maybe more. And that was like a doorway to another universe for me. I started consuming as much as I could. My first stops were Four Tet's Fabric Live mix, number 59 I think it is, and his album There Is Loving You. These offered me a glimpse at two distinct aspects of the Four Tet experience. The Fabric mix is a great blend of house and UK garage that I often go back to. It's an absolutely stellar record if you're wanting to like work and get shit done. Probably more fun to get lit to, but these days I'm definitely doing one more than the other, which is pretty sad. While There Is Loving You is an inspired document of the artist's ability to create engaging textures and soundscapes with plenty of propulsion and rhythm. I was struck on this record by his ability to sample and reproduce these delicate glassy sounds, weaving them through the compositions. I don't really know enough about the genre to claim this is true, but I always look at it as one of the trademarks of Four Tet's work. You know, creating those kind of glassy sounds. Everyone and his dog could be doing it for all I know, but ignorance is bliss for me in that regard. Back to this album then, 3 is the first recorded material I've really heard from KIERAN Hebden since 2020 or 2021, where he released 16 Oceans, Parallel, and then produced, edited and compiled the Madlib album Sound Ancestors. Since then, he's fought a bitter lawsuit with his label Domino and gone on kind of a Club Heroes victory lap with Skrillex and Fred again, where I'm pretty sure we've seen videos of the trio mixing and making beats everywhere from a park, on the tube and in Madison Square Garden. As much as I love to see all of that stuff, particularly his victory in the lawsuit and the love he's been able to gather from a younger audience due to the Fred and Skrillex association, 3 very much captures Hebden back in the kind of mode that produced works like There Is Loving You, and I'm really thankful for it, because what we get, I think, is one of Four Tet's strongest ever records. 3 is a fantastic mix of Hebden's ambient, down-tempo and sample-chopping electronica that introduces occasional dashes of his higher energy house works here and there. The magic for me is that it never lingers on any one mode for too long, making it very accessible compared to a deeper dive into ambience such as a record like Parallel. It doesn't linger anywhere for too long, but still takes you on enough of a journey that you feel you've experienced something. Roughly half, if not more than half of the tracks end up in a much different destination than their start, some of which I'll go through. And then the ones that don't either meditate on a sound or tone that you generally just want to hear drawn out or explore different variations of, and it really works. In terms of pieces that take you on that journey, the opening track Loved kicks things off with a super crisp mid-tempo drum sample that sets the scene for some great electric piano that's treated with a slight delay to complement the groove, and then it really fills the space. Throughout the midsection of the track, more icy clinical synths are introduced until toward the end everything falls away, leaving only the more abstract parts of the melody. Storm Crystals makes a melody from a collage of these plucked sounding tones, some of them recalling like a sharp guitar, a banjo or koto, a track that gives credence to the mention of folktronica on Four Tet's Wikipedia bio. This track really reminds me of early 2000s down-tempo stuff in the best way possible, and over the course of the track we get lots of swells and kind of wooden chime sounds that gradually bring themselves to the forefront by the end. Skater was a really interesting track for me. It has a central electric guitar melody that guides the piece. The production of the guitar immediately brought to mind the softer parts of Metallica of all bands. It has this twangy sort of chorus production you'd hear on a slower part of a track like One. And then I kept listening to it and continued to be reminded of the metal band way more than the passing similarity of the guitar tone should allow, until eventually I sent it over to a mate that confirmed the chord progression has a very slight similarity to the classic Metallica tune Sanitarium. I have no idea if that was intentional. The Four Tet piece certainly bears absolutely no other resemblance to the track, but it was nice to have some confirmation that I wasn't going completely mad. This is another track with a distinct journey, as by the end we're left only with these vocal samples which almost replace the guitar while continuing the same melody, which is really cool. A track that stays completely in one place but is perfectly right to do so is the piece Gliding Through Everything, a cut that couldn't be more perfectly named, with its use of jittery keyboards that sound ethereal and almost like sped up manipulated wind chimes. It brings to mind any sci-fi flick when a moment of solace is reached when a hero in their spacecraft kind of reaches a blissful level of flight speed. Daydream Repeat provides this kind of jittery bass groove against 4/4 open hi-hats that brings a dash of funky house to the record and perfectly typifies what I mean about the album being well paced enough to move through all of these different zones and keep things fresh. It's a head nodder of a track that comes just at the perfect time between the angular weirdness of Storm Crystals and the kind of melancholy Skater. The album ends with the track Three Drums, a perfect slice of down-tempo that recalls a little bit of classic Moby in its use of orchestral pads, swells and vocal samples. Overall, this is a pretty perfect encapsulation of Four Tet's cerebral side, but packaged in a 45-minute record that provides depth and great pace. I'm going to hit this one with an 8.9 and knock it on the head. That's what I think, but what do you reckon? Let me know in the comments what you think about the album, and check the description for reviews and videos of similar artists. If you find yourself doing all that, then you may as well subscribe. So that's it. Subscribe, share some thoughts, show some love, or just hold some abuse in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, mate. Bye.